Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we're taking a closer look at PENN Entertainment. You might remember them as Penn National Gaming. We've pulled together some recent news articles, their financials, and a pretty detailed due diligence report to try and get a handle on things.
That's the plan. We're aiming to sift through all that and pull out what really matters about PENN Entertainment right now, where they stand, how they're doing, and maybe get a sense of the road ahead. The idea is to give you a quick, solid understanding without, drowning you in every single number.
Okay, sounds good. So let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
PENN Entertainment, they're a big name in American entertainment, right?
They're a very big name. They're, integrated entertainment, sports content, and definitely casino gaming. It's quite a mix.
And their reach seems pretty wide, too.
Oh, definitely. They've got, I believe, 42 gaming spots and racetracks spread across 20 states. So a huge physical presence in North America. Plus, they're not just brick and mortar. They're active online gaming, sports betting, even some lifestyle content thrown in. They seem to be covering a lot of bases.
It sounds like they want to be sort of a one-stop shop for entertainment.
That seems to be the angle.
And they talk a lot about innovation, diversity, sustainability in their reports. Did that feel like just corporate speak or...
Well, it signals a certain strategic direction, doesn't it? Thinking long term. And their loyalty program comes up a lot, trying to connect all their different offerings for the customer.
And owning their tech platform, that seems pretty important these days.
Crucial, I'd say. Having control over your technology stack is a major advantage. So yeah, that's the overview. How about we look at the financials? How have they actually been performing?
Okay. Well, the sources don't give us, like, up-to-the-minute stock prices, but they do mention share repurchases. That usually means something, right?
It often does. Companies tend to buy back shares when they think the price is undervalued, so it can suggest some internal confidence in their own prospects.
Interesting. And looking back a bit, their 2022 numbers were pretty substantial. Revenue was $6.5 billion.
That's right, $6.5 billion revenue. Net income around $222 million. And their total assets were listed at $17.5 billion. So yes, significant figures.
And they're planning more buybacks.
Seems so. The plan mentioned is at least $350 million worth early next year, 2025, which, again, kind of points towards a feeling of financial stability and maybe a positive outlook internally.
Okay, what about more recently? Any fresher numbers?
We do have some Q2 2024 data. Revenue came in at $1.66 billion. That was actually a little bit better than what analysts were expecting.
Okay, slightly above consensus and earnings per share.
That's where it gets a bit more nuanced. EPS was negative, minus around 18 cents per share. But interestingly, that also beat the consensus estimate, which must have been lower.
So better than expected, even though it was a loss for the quarter.
Correct. But it does highlight something important. Their earnings can be quite volatile. If you look back at Q4 of 2023, they had a much larger loss, like measured in 20.75 per share.
Wow, that's a big...
It is. So while Q2 beating expectations is good news, you have to look at that longer trend of variability in their bottom line.
Definitely something to keep an eye on in future reports. Okay, moving beyond just the numbers, what's happening on the ground, any big projects or developments?
Oh, yes. A major announcement is the plan for a new land-based Hollywood casino out in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Replacing an existing one.
Exactly. They currently have a riverboat casino there, and this is a plan to build a brand new, much larger facility on land. It's a pretty significant capital investment.
How significant are you talking?
The estimate's somewhere between $180 and $200 million. And it's not just the casino floor, though, that's big. 58,000 square feet, over 1,000 gaming positions. It also includes an ESPN BT sportsbook, which is interesting given their partnerships, plus a hotel, dining options, the whole package.
So really leaning into the destination idea.
Very much so. It suggests they still see a lot of value in those big physical entertainment hubs, even as online grows.
And are other projects moving forward too?
Seems like it. The reports say their other retail growth projects are generally on budget and on track. There's another new Hollywood casino planned for Joliet, Illinois, expected to open late 2025.
Okay, so physical expansion is definitely happening. What about the digital side?
They're active there too. They recently launched the Score Casino app up in Ontario, Canada. That's a key market, so expanding their online casino presence there makes sense.
Right, hitting both physical and digital. So if we pull back a bit, what would you say are PENN's core strengths right now?
Well, that diversification we just talked about is a big one. Operating across so many states with both retail casinos and online platforms, it spreads the risk,
Less reliant on just one segment or region.
Precisely, and their investment in their own technology, the proprietary media and betting platform that's a real asset in this space, you want to control your tech.
And that loyalty program keeps popping up.
It does. A strong loyalty program that works across all their channels, physical casinos, online betting, the apps that can really help keep customers engaged and coming back. It builds that ecosystem.
Plus the brand names themselves. Hollywood Casino, The Score. People know those.
Brand recognition is definitely helpful.
Yep.
It all adds up to them being a leading player in the North American gaming scene.
Okay, but it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the potential bumps in the road? The risks?
Well, number one is always regulation in this industry. It's heavily regulated. Any changes at the state level or even federal could really impact how they operate, where they can operate.
Especially with online gaming and betting still evolving state by state.
Absolutely. And then there's the competition. It is fierce. You've got massive players out there.
Like Caesars, MGM, the ones mentioned in the sources.
Exactly. Big companies with deep pockets and established brands. Plus, launching new projects like the Iowa Casino always carries regulatory risk, getting approvals,
Yeah.
potential delays.
And the economy, does that play a role?
Always. Gaming and entertainment are often tied to consumer discretionary spending. If there's an economic downturn, people might cut back on trips to the casino or betting. That's a macro risk for the whole sector.
Let's dig into that competition. How does PENN really measure up against, say, a Caesars or an MGM?
It's interesting. Caesars has a huge U.S. footprint, really diverse offerings, and powerful brands. MGM is more global, known for iconic resorts, and they've also invested heavily in tech, bringing in massive revenues.
So different strengths for each. Where does PENN carve out its niche?
I think PENN's big focus is that integration, trying to make the online and the physical work together seamlessly. That omni-channel approach, as they call it.
Connecting the digital experience with the casino visit through things like the loyalty program.
Right. And their commitment to building and owning their tech platform is probably a key part of their strategy to differentiate themselves. They're not just relying on third-party providers for core functions.
Looking forward then, what should we be watching for? What could really move the needle for PENN?
Future earnings reports are obviously crucial. We need to see if that recent positive trend, beating estimates, continues, or if the volatility returns. That'll tell us a lot about how their strategy is translating financially.
And regulation again.
Always regulation.
Mhm.
If more states open up to online sports betting or iGaming and PNN can get licenses, that could be a major growth catalyst. Expansion opportunities are key.
On the flip side, what could hold them back, besides the general risks we mentioned?
Well, continued earnings inconsistency would obviously be a concern for investors. A significant shift in market sentiment against gaming stocks, maybe, or unexpected problems with those big construction projects, delays or cost overruns are always possible.
What is the current market sentiment? Did the sources give a feel for that?
The share buybacks, as we said, often suggest internal optimism. And big, tangible projects like the new Iowa Casino can definitely capture investor attention, maybe generate some positive buzz. But sentiment can change quickly. You really need to keep an eye on what analysts are saying, watch for rating changes, that sort of thing in the financial news.
Got it. And the wider industry trends. What's shaping gaming right now?
We're seeing two big things, really. One is this continued investment in high-quality land-based destinations, like PENN's Iowa project. They're not abandoning physical casinos at all. But at the same time, there's no denying the massive growth in online gaming and sports betting. It's become a huge driver for the entire industry. It's about balancing both.
So putting it all together, what was the final takeaway from the reports? A buy, sell, hold?
The specific due diligence report we reviewed leaned towards a hold recommendation, at least for now, especially for investors looking for more stable growth. But it came with a caveat suggesting it's wise to wait for a clearer picture from upcoming stock trends and overall market feeling towards the company.
Okay, so let's recap quickly. We've got PENN Entertainment, a major player with diverse operations, lots of casinos, racetracks, plus a growing online presence. Financially, some strong points like revenue and assets, but also some notable volatility in their earnings per share recently.
Right, and significant ongoing developments, especially that big new land-based casino project in Iowa, alongside digital expansion like the Score app in Ontario.
Strengths seem to be that diversification, their tech investments, the loyalty program, but they face risks from regulation, heavy competition, and the broader economy.
That Iowa casino really stands out, though. It's a major bet on the future of physical, destination-style entertainment. shows commitment.
Absolutely. And for you listening, it really underscores the need to keep watching that regulatory environment and how PENN stacks up against competitors like Caesars and MGM. It's a dynamic space.
Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to chew on.
Sure.
How will PENN's simultaneous big bets on these modern physical casinos and their integrated digital platforms position them as the whole entertainment landscape continues to shift? It's a fascinating balancing act.
Definitely something to think about. Some great insights there. If you found this discussion helpful, please do subscribe, like, and maybe leave us a comment with your thoughts.